Tonight here at Kansas Speedway. Your 73rd victory here at with Jimmie Johnson in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. I believe it's your all's 200th top 5 and your 300th top 10. Outstanding job here at Kansas, and you pulled that one out there at the end. Just talk about how things unfolded and went out there here this evening for you.
Yeah, goodness, it was very unexpected to be here right now. Obviously, I think that we had a little bit of good. I think we had a little bit of good fortune on our side for sure. The weekend wasn't turning out or developing the way that we would have liked it to, for sure. Excuse me. But you know, the good thing about this team is that it always strives to do better, and we worked really hard on the race car after qualifying to figure out what we needed to do to try to get the car better for Jimmie. We had some really tight conditions on Friday, and well, we did a really good job of fixing that because we didn't really
no sign of tight all night.
We weren't tight at all tonight, so unfortunately we couldn't really get the car back where we needed to, and obviously Jimmie almost lost it there early on in the event and did a fantastic job saving the race car. And then the guys, man, we just got to work. The guys just executed flawlessly on pit road. We made a significant amount of changes to the race car, from ride height changes to chassis changes to air pressure changes to pit calls and strategy and so on and so forth. And to be able to come out of here tonight with the victory was a lot of fun. A lot of hard work by a lot of great people put us here tonight.
Thank you, Chad. And Jimmie Johnson, your 73rd Sprint Cup Series win, your 3rd win in 2015, your 3rd win at Kansas. And as I was mentioning to Chad before you came in, it's your 200th top 5 in the Sprint Cup Series and your 300th top 10. Outstanding numbers. And just talk about this win here tonight. You know, obviously you made the right call there at the end, and your car was good, and you had to overcome some things as Chad was talking about too. So this one has to feel pretty good coming on Mother's Day too, because this race actually ended on Mother's Day.
Yeah, that's amazing. I thought my wife might have been asleep, and then I caught her on FaceTime in Victory Lane, and she was not so happy to be on FaceTime and other people looking in the phone. So,
did you really?
Yep. Yeah. I hit the button and I meant to call, and it did FaceTime, and she answered it, and I think the signal went out or she hung up on me, one of the two. So, but yes, finishing on Mother's Day is very sweet, and first of all, you know, shout out to all the moms, my mom, and then certainly Chandra for Mother's Day, and I'm going to take that trophy home to my kids and see what their response is tomorrow or today with that trophy. But tonight, I mean, I feel like we had a good car. As we got to the front and got out of the turbulent air and traffic, our car just got faster and faster, and you know, I really feel like we were a top 2 or 3 car, but I didn't have enough time up there in the top 2 or 3 to know where I stood against the 78 and the 4. But we gambled with our pit call and had just enough time to get to the finish line before the 4 on its new tires could get to us. So just well played. And you know, in some ways, we fought really hard to get to victory lane, but you know, it's fun to win one gambling. We haven't really gambled before and won, so not to my knowledge. So it feels a little different and pretty cool to have that come together.
Thank you, Jimmie. We'll take questions now. We'll start here on the front row. We'll take these two gentlemen here.
Jimmie, Todd Palmer with the Kansas City Star, and Chad, I'd also like you to answer this too. What went into the decision to stay out there on that last restart, and what were the factors in your mind? And you know, you kind of mentioned gambling there. I mean, why did you think that was the best strategy, just stay out, even though, you know, the 4 and the 78 were coming in?
Yeah, as I was coming through 3 and 4, you're trying to watch. I'm watching the 4 and the 78 and looking in the mirror, and sometimes you can tell what the masses are going to do, if they're looking at pit road or not. And usually Chad gives me some indication early in turn 3 what he's going to do. And he didn't really say much, so I knew he was thinking hard. And I could see most guys were favoring down and trying to find their way onto the apron. And he asked me what I wanted to do. And, you know, just dawned on me, we've won 2 races, we're locked in the chase. Points don't matter, it's all about wins. And I said, man, I feel like gambling, and that was the call, and we stayed out. So it's just kind of a gut feeling and a split-second decision that we peeled right, and pretty much everybody went left. And at that point, I felt like I was pretty lonely and it wasn't going to work out. The 88 stayed, and I think Chad was trying to be optimistic and fill me full of some sunshine. He said, "Oh yeah, a few stayed out." I'm thinking, man, I only saw one stay out. And then the 4 lined up behind me, and the way the tires would fire off, you could put together 4 or 5 good laps on older tires, and then they would slow down. So I felt like with maybe 9 to go, would have been tough, and then they waved off the one. I'm like, sweet, we're getting in the window. Keep waving them off, and it worked out. So,
yeah, it was obviously we. From our standpoint, we were in a unique situation because the 4 and the 78 were actually really close on fuel. We were not. We were well within our window. So we wanted to stay out. We knew that we were going to need to have probably 4 or 5 guys at the minimum stay out for us to have any shot at pulling it off. And we were tossing back and forth on what we should do, and I didn't want to say too much until the very last moment. And when I threw it out there to Jimmie, and he said, "Well, let's gamble." I was like, "No, that's easy. It's done." So when we did that, I felt very confident that the 80 was going to stay out. I felt very confident the 24 was going to stay out. I didn't know about the other guys, and I felt like even if those other guys came down, like 78, for instance, he took fuel. I really expected the 4 to take fuel as opposed to taking right side tires. Once he took right side tires, I knew that he was going to be difficult. I knew he was going to be the one to beat. But yeah, it was, man, it played out. We started to set up that strategy 3 stops from the end.
Yep.
And it worked out.
And I ran out of gas doing a burnout, so we timed it just right.
I think so. It was the 88, the 24, and the 88, 24, somebody, and then the 78, 41, thank you. And the 78 only took fuel. So we had a pretty good buffer there. The 4 car was the wild card. And, man, he made quick work of the 24 through 1 and 2. I don't know where Jeff went, but the 4 just rolled right through there. And I thought we were going to be in trouble, but, man, it was we were watching the in-car camera video a lot of the race, and Jimmie had his hands full the majority of the race in traffic and very counter-steering the majority of the event through the corners. And once the car got out front, he was actually able to really feed the wheel to the car, held a pretty wheel, and the car definitely came to us when we got out in clean air.
Go ahead, sir.
Sean Rooney, Dos Mudos newspaper here in Kansas City. I think the margin of your lead was somewhere between like 0.3 of a second and maybe close to an actual second when you got the lead out of that last restart. Were they telling you what your margin of what your comfort zone was, and if they were gaining time on you at all?
No, I can see in the mirror where everybody was. What was being fed to me was the lines they were running, and for maybe at least a lap, I guess the 4 and the 88 were door to door, and I was trying hard to, take advantage of that. And then even on the straightaways, I was trying to pull down, and if I was to help somebody with the draft, give it to the 88. He was on older tires, and I felt like if I could keep them side by side longer, it would be a benefit. The 4 ended up getting by him pretty quick, and I was like, okay, I have to put it together here. So the car, as Chad mentioned a minute ago, was driving so much differently with clean air and steady air on the car that the tools I have inside my race car, each lap I kept playing with stuff and moving my brake balance, track bar, and just trying to find out how to make the car turn stronger. Because in the pack and traffic all day long, the car was so loose and unstable that we made massive adjustments every stop to try to secure the car up. And then once I had steady air on the car, I'm like, oh, I don't need all that right now. But we were able to get there.
Let's go to Kelly right here. Kelly's got a question, then we'll go to Stan and come back up front, and Gary.
Kelly Crandall from PopularSpeed.com. I would assume after 6 championships and 73 wins, confidence is not an issue. But on a night where you talked about battling the car, nearly spun out, perhaps didn't have the best car, but is the feeling any different when you're walking home with the trophy?
You know, confidence, even though we've won 6 championships and won a bunch of races, for me at least, it never has an effect on the present. And leading into the race today, the only thing I had to go off of was practice and then qualifying. Practice was good, qualifying wasn't good. So I'm like torn on where I should be. So, you know, it's easy for even, you know, the successful teams in this sport to have confidence waver over the course of a weekend, over the you know, stretch of time, over a course of a year, whatever it might be. It comes in and out. And honestly, we live and die by the NASCAR timing and scoring. And the last time you're on track, it's all you have to live off of. So the last time we were on track, we were 19th. But once the race got going, I felt like my car was more stable than others that I was around. I saw some really nervous race cars. And once I could get a little gap of clean air, I could put down a couple good laps, and I would hear that on the radio. It knew that once if we could ever get there, that we'd be competitive.
Let's go to Stan, and we'll come back up front. We'll go to Jerry, and then to Brant. Go ahead.
All right, Stan Creekmore with RPMtonight.com. I'm not sure which one of you can answer this question. Given the rain last night, the rain partway through the race, 2 green tracks in the course of this, which of you was the most challenged to perform tonight?
Yeah, because
He was by far. It was really safe where I was sitting. Where he was, man.
yeah, that's yeah. And once we decided on the car and it rolled through tech, there's only a couple screws to turn on the car, you know. So yeah, I'd have to agree with that. There was one point I was looking out the right side window thinking this is going to hurt. So we made it.
Okay, let's go to front row here. Go to Jerry, and then to Brant.
I don't know if you're aware, I know Kerry rattled off a lot of stats, the top 5s, top 10s. It's also your 23rd career win on a mile and a half, which is a Cup Series record. So you guys, you've, I think, won 4 of the last 7 on mile and a half, and Harvick's got the other 3. But why have you been so dominant on those tracks?
The first thing that comes to mind to me is the guys I have working on my race car and the attention to detail that Chad puts into his race cars, the resources we have at Hendrick Motorsports, and you know, the cars we show up to the racetrack with. You know, this track, I feel like much more of I feel like it's weighted more towards the performance of the car than what the driver does. Texas, Atlanta, some of the tracks where it's more abrasive, I think it does back into the driver's hands a bit more, and the way you drive the car, how you work the tires, you can over-abuse them. You know, you can just run the tire off the car there, and a lot of the responsibility falls on the driver. But when you're on the big tracks, you know, your aero balance, the engine performance, the small details that separate our team from others, that's where you find that 1/10 of a second that puts you in the winner's circle. So I just say it's equipment I'm sitting in.
Let's go to Jerry, and then we'll probably end with Brant. Go ahead.
Jerry Jordan, Kicking Up Tires. Fast forward, next 2 weeks, we're at mile and a half tracks, Charlotte, where you are known to dominate historically. The momentum here going forward, what do you look for next week and the week after? Obviously, $1 million next week on the line, but we'll also probably be in similar weather conditions and race conditions being at night.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I mean, the way we've been running on the mile and a halves, feel really good about it. Charlotte's, you know, the way we land in the corners at Charlotte pose a different kind of challenge for the race teams. So, you know, the entries here and the way the cars transition in the corner. Turn 1, there's a little bit of loading, but turn 3, it's so flat and smooth that it's not all that close to Charlotte. And I don't think we've seen anything like Charlotte yet. So I think who runs well at Charlotte, you can look forward to Dover being a strong race for that team as well, just because you know, Dover, you come over the rise and land so hard, and you have that same event going on at Charlotte. But Charlotte's been great to us, and so is Dover. So we're definitely excited with the success we've had on mile and a half, taking it back home.
Final question right here, Brant.
Brant James, USA Today Sports. The 4 car's been the one that everyone sort of had to compare themselves against this year because it's been really good. 11 races in, you've got one more win and only one less top 5. So how do you guys stack up against those guys at this point?
I still think he's the car to beat right now. I mean, he qualifies better than we do. We're finding ways to win races, but I just think that they have a bit more control of their own destiny right now. And we're getting better. We're closing the gap a little bit each week. I think over the off season we made a tremendous improvement and closed the gap, but we still got a little bit of work to do.
Yeah, I do agree. I think we execute better than they do consistently. But as far as having all-out raw speed, I think they've got the speed on that right now. So we're working diligently on that right now to try to figure out how we can get a little bit more speed out of the 48 car. And it's, I wouldn't say it's always the 4, but we aren't used to not being as fast as we need to be, and we're about a couple tenths off every week from where we want to be. Now that could be to the 4, it could be to the 22, it could be to the 2, it could be to the 19, whomever it is. So we just got to try to broach that, and once we get there, we're going to be where we need to be.
Congratulations to the number 48 team on this win here tonight, and we'll see you guys at Charlotte.
Thank you.
Look at this. Wow.
They didn't tell us they were bringing you in. I saw you take a picture.
What's that?
They didn't tell us they were bringing y'all in when you came in. We were running over here.
See, why would I leave? No, but why would I do something different next year?